everybody, Backyard Bullion here. Welcome to the big grand reveal and release of the solid silver D20s. I suppose actually it's not necessarily a big grand reveal, as I did give you all a sneak peek last week and during this week, but it's a reveal of all 10 sets together, and they are now on general sale over on my website. There's a link down in the description below, so go on over there and check them out if you are interested. But today is D-Day. Today is the release date of all of these 20-sided dice. There are 20 of them in total. There's 10 pairs of dice, so each set is a big dice and a small dice. We've been working on them for, gosh, well, technically we've been working on them for over a year, because I had this idea about a year ago and I was in talks with the mould maker for a good long time about how practical and possible this was going to be. And eventually we decided, do you know what, there's only really one way of finding out, and that is just to take the plunge, get the moulds made and see how we get on. And I like to think that we've done a pretty good job, because these dice have come out very, very well indeed. My inner Dungeons & Dragons nerd really absolutely loves these, and I'm just so chuffed with the way that they have come out. Pouring them, making them, we'll talk about that today, talk about the moulds, talk about how it's all done. Of course, I need to pay homage to my dad, who has done an incredible job on these wooden display boards, which very neatly nestle these 20-sided dice, and Dad's handiwork is just incredible again. You know how I do kind of mirror finish bars sometimes here on my hand-poured silver? You know, these are just so smooth and so wonderful that it almost feels like they are mirror finish pieces of oak. Of course, they are made from pure English oak, so it's really high quality wood, feels nice and heavy and dense. We've got felt bottoms on all of them, and of course the labels as well. So really, really massive thanks to Dad. It's an honour and privilege to work with my dad on these, and I hope that we can bring many, many more products like this with Dad to you, because he needs some recognition for the amount of energy, time and effort that goes into making all of these wooden display boards. They really are very, very cool indeed. So what are these all about? Well, let's give you some of the technical specifications, I suppose. So each and every dice, as you can see here, is a minimum of 4.8 ounces. Some of them are a little touch higher, but none of them are less than 4.8 ounces, which is very cool. Now, the inner D&D nerd in me, you know, I just introduced you to Big Red and Little Blue. These were my dice of choice for any character that I would play who maybe needed 2 attacks or 2 D20 rolls in a turn. We would have Big Red for primary weapons, or those really special occasions, and then we'd have the Little Blue for just the, you know, the offhand dagger attacks and so on in those sort of D&D scenarios. And I wanted to kind of replicate that in these 20-sided dice. So we have the big chunky D20, which is for those special occasions. That is, you know, that's the bad boy. That's when you need to make a roll that has to stick. You know, you bring out your big guns for that. And then we've got your everyday D20s, the little ones here, and these are all approximately 1.3 ounces. Some of them are a little bit more, in fact, and it's interesting that the 2-part mould has had a little bit of a spread in weight. I don't know whether that means that there's a couple here that have minute air pockets inside of them, but whatever we have, the minimum weight of each set is 6.15 ounces. So I've made sure that when I pair all of these dice up, that the minimum weight for anybody is going to be 6.15 ounces troy. Now, of course, each and every piece is hallmarked by the Edinburgh Assay Office. So here is the hallmark on the big dice. We've gone for a big feature mark, which is the larger version, and you can really see all of the detail coming up from the Edinburgh Assay Office. Now, for those of you who don't know about hallmarks, this basically says that the Edinburgh Assay Office has tested these pieces, which means they've actually drill tested some of them. And you can see here, this is in fact one of them that has been drill tested with this number 16. You see this sort of circular pattern there. That's an area where they have repaired the dice for me after having drilled through it, testing the core of it, and then they very kindly repaired it for me. So a huge thank you to the Edinburgh Assay Office for your time and energy to do that, because it really does make a difference. Rather than just scrapping that and having it wasted, they repair it so I can use it. So that's a really interesting thing to see. And then on the little dice, we've got the hallmark on the number 1 side. We don't have the weight stamped on the little dice. There wasn't really room when you factor in the size of each facet and the fact that we had to get the hallmark on one of them. So we decided not to put the weight on these, on the small dice, but they are all, as I said, roughly 1.3 ounces. So that's kind of the technical specifications of the dice themselves. There are, of course, a mintage of only 10 of each size, but really, I mean, I've got the moulds, and I hopefully will be making more of these dice coming coming into 2019, but certainly for 2018 this was always just going to be a bit of an R&D experiment to see if they were popular, see if they were of interest to people, and having these in the display board is, you know, that limited edition of 10. We won't be doing any more in this limited edition style board, certainly not until very late in 2019, when hopefully we'll be doing other interesting projects around the theme of big 3D dice. So we'll see how that evolves, but these really are going to be limited edition stuff. That doesn't mean that I will never make any of these 20-sided dice again. I'd be a fool not to, if I'm honest, because these little 20-sided dice are so awesome that it would just, I think it's just really fun to have them, and I'm aware that you know, these sets are you know, obviously they're fairly weighty. We've got the price of the boards that Dad's made to consider as well. So, you know, overall, I understand that there's quite a high price on them for people, and I wouldn't want to, you know, not have these available to anybody and everybody. So I probably will be making some of these in 2019, but I haven't decided on any mintages or anything like that. So as you can see, these little dice roll really well. I'm really happy with the way that they've turned out. Now, of course, with these, I should point out, and let's talk about the molds right now. So the little mould is here, and you can see how they look. So making a 20-sided, which is called an isohedron, by the way, a little bit of learning for you all, is a difficult thing for any kind of milling machine. So they are not going to be perfect like a gaming dice, like one of these. They are not perfect isohedrons by any stretch of the imagination. So if you've got some rules lawyers, and you D&D guys out there will know that every group has a rules lawyer at some point, it's probably not a gaming legal dice in that sense. Well, I know for a fact it's not a gaming legal dice. And there are certain facets which are slightly rounded off, and we've got, of course, like the you know, the points of the various different parts of the dice, which are not perfectly sharp points. So there will be. We did some testing actually, and rolling various numbers. We rolled one dice 100 times, and it was very clear that the important facets, so the facets which were sticking down into the mould. So you can see that it fits in nicely like that. The facets that are on the top and the facets that are on the bottom have a bigger face, which means that their numbers are more likely to come up than the ones which were around the equator of the dice when you hold it in that orientation. They do still come up, don't get me wrong, but just quite not as often as the big facets. So what we've done is we've stamped all the really fun numbers on those important facets. So 20, 2, 18, and then 1, 3, and 19 on there. So, you know, you've got an equal chance of getting that fun 20 that you need. Look at that. I didn't even plan that. You've got the fun chance of hitting 20. See if I can get one. No. Or the horrible chance of getting a number 1. There we go. A number 1 when you need it or don't need it. So they are fun. They are functional in that sense. And it is what it is. I really like them, though. They are just meant for fun. They're not meant for serious actual gaming if someone like a rules lawyer is there for you. The big 20-sided dice, similar story here. We've got, although it's actually a lot more even on these, because even though these top and bottom facets, so you've got the big mould here, as you can see, top and bottom facets have the bigger facets sort of size and face, they still roll really well. But because the equator or the equatorial facets are actually, you know, bigger generally, they do have actually pretty good chance of landing on them and sticking on them. So it's really interesting that this one is, and I don't want to roll it too hard on the table because I will dent my table, so I'd highly recommend that if you're going to be rolling these dice, to do it on a padded table. But as you can see, they roll very well. All of the fun numbers, once again, 22, 12, 18, and so on, 1, 19, etc., are on the fun facets. So hopefully those fun numbers will come up slightly more than the others. But they roll really well, and as a pair you can do your double attacks and what have you, and it's absolutely fantastic. So I really enjoy them. I think that they've turned out very well indeed. By the way, this is what they look like when they come out of the mould. And this is part of the whole process. I mean, there's so much I could tell you guys about these different D20s and how they're made and everything. I just don't necessarily have the time to do it all today. And for those of you watching this far already, you know I tend to ramble, so this is another little tangent. But they come out of the mould with a spur like this, so it's a 3D mould. The two bits put together, and you can see that the silver is poured through the spout, fills up the mould, and there you go. You have the 20-sided dice. You get a few little bits sticking out, as you can see here, and you get the kind of rim or the sort of the join between the two sides of the dice. Sometimes there's a little bit there, which I end up hammering out actually. So I put it on the hard steel surface, use the hammer to flatten it out as best as possible. And then of course it's hacksawing time to take off the spur. And you know, it's really, it takes a lot of energy and effort, but I think it's really worth it, because once we've taken off the spur, I'll finish up each facet and side as best as I can. And to be honest, I can't even remember which side had the spur on this particular dice. So it's really good that that's not impacting the way the dice looks and feels. So all in all, really happy with the way they've turned out. So if you guys are interested, link is down in the description below. Hopefully, if you were really interested in these, you've headed on over already, because I've had quite a few email inquiries over the last week of me promoting these. I don't know quite how many that will equate to sales. I know there's quite a lot of people who are very interested, so I would not tarry if you are interested in picking these up, because there's a likelihood that they will sell out relatively quickly. Or that's the plan anyway. I'd hope that they would anyway. So that is about it. Now we've just got the fun of putting all the dice back on. I'm not going to put them all on 20 side facing up. That's just going to take far too long. But here we go. There they are. Thank you for watching this far. If you have done so, thank you if you've gone and purchased one of these. Let me know your thoughts on them generally. If they're not quite for you, that's fine. I understand that they are, you know, sort of premium pieces of silver. And if that's not your cup of tea, then that's absolutely fine. But hopefully there are some people out there who enjoy this, who have that kind of old school D&D kind of inner nerd in them. I grew up with 2nd edition, proper D&D, where we had THACO, 2-hit armor class 0, old school stuff. So anyway, enough of my wondrous childhood memories of playing Dungeons and Dragons into the wee hours of the morning with my friends. Thank you, one and all, for sticking with me and watching through all of this video. If you liked it, please do put a thumbs up and share it around on your social media. That would be very helpful to everything that I do here on my YouTube channel. And if you would like to see videos like this in the future, if you'd like to see projects like this in the future, then please hit that subscribe button and hit the alarm bell if you'd like to get a notification when future videos go live. Otherwise, that is all I have to say. Next weekend, big unboxings. That's all I have to say. I hope you all have a fantastic week ahead. Thank you so much for watching, and please make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe for more.